Good morning and happy Monday. Thank you for joining us here at the live desk. I am Taylor Johnson, joined by Sharon Chen. We're going to get to your news headlines this morning, but today we do want to start with our coverage of the funeral of Wyandotte County Deputy Elijah Ming, who will be laid to rest today.
And the service today about to begin at about 11 o'clock this morning. Now, Deputy Ming was shot and killed July 26th as he was responding to a call in KCK's Argentine neighborhood. Ming is a 9-year veteran with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Department. So as you can imagine, this is just a tremendous tragedy for that department. The community expected to show up huge this morning for Ming's service, which again begins at 11 o'clock. We're going to have complete live team coverage for you this morning of his service. But before we get to that, we want to go ahead and take a look at what we're dealing with wise for weather this morning. So we want to go ahead and bring in meteorologist Stevie Stevenson for a weather update on that. Stevie?
I want to bring you the latest with your First Warn 5 forecast on this First Warn weather day, really kicking things off with what we've seen on radar over the past hour alone. And you can see this decaying shower and storm system that's been really taking its time, coming all the way up from Wichita, scaling East Kansas, and then now into downtown Kansas City areas in the metro, as it's still bringing some light rainfall with some pockets embedded within that of heavier rainfall. Now, thankfully, so far today, we have been able to avoid extremely heavy rainfall as the system came through. It was moving very slowly out of central and East Kansas before starting to deteriorate over the state line into Missouri. That's what's helped leave a lot of that rainfall in the heaviest amounts way out far to our west. So that's been a bit of good news that we've had this morning in terms of this First Warn weather day. Taking a closer look though at what we're currently seeing across the metro, you can see those flecks of yellow. That's where it's showing us we're still seeing some moderate rain here and there, but the bigger blanket and the more widespread thing that we have going on is lighter rain right now. Now, with this being the first day of school and with the procession, this is very inconvenient rainfall. It's not just without any impact whatsoever. That's why we're still watching this very closely, and we're not completely out of the woods for the rest of the day in terms of finding heavier rain. We're holding that First Warn weather day in place because of that reason, and because every once in a while could still have some stray lightning and thunder. Reminder, if thunder roars, make sure you go indoors. Again, that thunderstorm risk itself is decreasing as this storm system is decaying here, but still something that we are monitoring very closely for you on this Monday morning. Mentioned a couple times that it is a First Warn weather day. This system and that other storm system that came in early on our Monday morning was why. When we have compounding rainfall like that, flood risks are possible, though now that flood risk is decreasing. We've passed the window where the most of the rain looks to fall, at least in a more scattered to widespread fashion. So you go through the rest of the morning, but especially into the afternoon, any further rain that we do find, which there is still going to be a rain chance on the board, but it will be more isolated in nature. So that still means that some isolated downpours could put down a quick inch of rain or so, but overall more widespread rainfall and widespread rainfall amounts are on the decrease, even though we're still keeping that First Warn weather day intact because there is still the chance to find some thunderstorms today. Looking through the rest of your Monday in terms of what rain chances are looking like, this is essentially it. It matches that trend that I said we're decreasing in coverage and likelihood of rain, especially once we fully clear out this current rain system that's right over the metro as we speak. And as I was just showing you on live radar, though, check out what happens when we go into the afternoon. That rain chances decreases even more, sitting at 40% till about 4 or 5 o'clock. Then after that tapers off even further down to about a 20% 8 p.m. onwards. That afternoon time frame, which I'll show you future track radar here in a second, but that afternoon time frame where we're keeping that 40% chance, it's not because we're looking at 40% coverage of the entire viewing area. It's more because there's a 40% chance of us seeing isolated thunderstorms throughout that time period before we reach the evening and before we lose a lot of the weather drivers and the weather pattern that would bring us more rain today. So rain chances continue all day long, coverage decreases throughout the day, and that flooding hazard and risk decreases with it. So I just mentioned I'll show you future track radar. Let's pull that up right now so we can get a more visual look at a map and what we could anticipate through the next few hours into the afternoon. So here's about where we are right now. 10 a.m. on your Monday, just past it now. We're looking at 10:06. Same image though. This splotchy, messy, drippy shower activity across most of the metro. Going into lunchtime though, that intensity of the rain, which right now it's not even much, but even that starts to go away. We hold on to the cloud cover, which will keep temperatures well on the cooler side today. I'll show you that later in this stream. But then here comes in that isolated chance for thunderstorms and heavier downpours through the afternoon. You can see that out there. This computer model is putting that out towards Lawrence, but anywhere, especially along and south of I-70, has a pretty equal chance of finding isolated thunderstorms today. So when you look at this map, don't get too tied to exactly where those thunderstorms are appearing to show up. We can see though through 3, 4, 5 p.m. and onwards, there are just those spotty pop-up, pop-down showers and thunderstorms. Now it's possible some of those bring gusty winds or an isolated inch to inch and a half of rainfall where those downpours set up, but again, that more heavy rainfall will not be for anyone and will just coincide with where those later on in the day showers and thunderstorms arise. Here's your 7 o'clock, sitting down for dinner, then 8 o'clock, scattered showers still possible. That's why that rain chance stays on the board. Then through the rest of your evening and nighttime, still keeping a steady rain chance, but overall a lower one. Now, this most recent version of Future Track Radar tries to put out a couple more lingering thunderstorms into late night tonight and early Tuesday morning. I think that those are going to be a little difficult to come by. I think that this particular model is overdoing that just slightly. This was also one of the models that was overdoing this morning's rain, so we're going to err on that side of the guidance and just know that it's not completely a non-zero chance of finding thunderstorms late tonight, but it's also not zero. Even as we look farther ahead into your Tuesday, rain chances not entirely gone then either, but that start to our Tuesday when even more kids are going back to school and we have that second morning commute of the week back to work looking a lot drier than what we had this morning. Bringing things back to today, the Weather Prediction Center has gone ahead and edited our flood risk for the rest of your Monday. This is going to stay in effect. That highlighted green you see on your screen is going to stay in effect until 7 a.m. on your Tuesday. So this is just under 24 hours out from now, and the flood risk that we have in that time frame, what you can see is it's staying low. That bullseye of higher flooding concern has been eradicated. It's been taken away from our southwesternmost regions and communities, and now we're left behind with that lower flooding risk. So that's good news, especially because some of us did catch a quick inch of rain this morning. Again, not for all of us, but some of us did see some rain. So we want to try and put a pause on a lot of those rain chances. moving forward to try and minimize the further flood risk that we could find. Again, flood risk not entirely zero for the next 24 hours, but significantly lower than what we had today and what we had yesterday morning too. Let's take a look outside on your Midwest Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing camera. Gloomy skies, that's what's going to help keep temperatures on the more comfortable side today. We only look to get up to the 80s for some of us, upper 70s for others. I'll get you a look at forecast highs here momentarily, but this is what we're doing right now in terms of those temperatures. We've barely warmed up even after sun rising just almost 4 hours ago now. We're still in the low 70s for the vast majority of us, especially those over towards Lawrence, Olathe, Paola, who saw thicker clouds and rain clouds and rain showers previously this morning. The farther away that you get from the Kansas side of things, the warmer you get. That's where there have been some breaks in clouds, less rainfall, and less, consequently, rain-cooled air. So that's what current temperatures are at right now, but they're not going to warm up all that much moving on through the rest of the day because a lot of that cloud cover is going to stay steady. Check out that look across downtown right now. This is looking north. Next 5 hours, there's this temperature crawl that barely makes it into the upper 70s by that 2 o'clock hour. There are also those rain chances on the board there, 40%. That's that isolated thunderstorm I was talking about. But temperature-wise, we're doing a lot better than what we've had the past couple of days, and especially what we were experiencing previously last week. So, high temperatures today, as I mentioned, mid to upper 70s for some. That's our northernmost counties who look to tap into more cloud cover later on in the day, so that'll shield them from the most efficient heating, which happens in the afternoon from the sunshine. That will keep the sun off of them. The rest of us could find brief breaks in the clouds today, but it's mostly just going to be a gloomy rest of your Monday, rest of this first day of school. So by the time you're picking kids up from the school, while you're not likely to find rain, you're still likely to hold on to some cloud cover out there. Areas along and south of I-70 as a whole getting warmer than the rest of us today in the mid to upper 80s, 85 forecast high down in Butler. Now, I want to look at forecasted rain totals and further rain that we could see today, but there's a couple caveats with this possible additional rainfall that I'm putting here on the board. What that caveat is that between where those numbers are popping up on your screen through the rest of the day, it's likely that we find isolated thunderstorms between those numbers, essentially meaning that the numbers aren't going to pick that up. Though any further rainfall we do get will predominantly come from the light rainfall we're seeing now, but once that dissipates, isolated thunderstorms that we have sometime throughout the afternoon, they still have a lot of moisture to work with in the atmosphere. We're still talking water content in the atmosphere being high enough to produce efficient and larger rainfall rates, so in isolated and localized spots, an additional inch to inch and a half of rain is not out of the question. I don't want you to think that once we get past this morning round, we're completely done with rain chances or higher rain totals for the rest of your day, but no, it's going to be extremely hit or miss. The more widespread to scattered rain that we're finding now is the one that's going to affect more of us, numbers and population wise, though moving forward through the rest of your Monday, rain chances are not completely done for. Let's go ahead and check back in on live radar so that we can see how that system has developed in about the past 10-12 minutes or so. We can see it's continuing to dissipate outwards. Still finding some isolated thunderstorms well south of I-70, moving on a northeastward track that's down towards Clinton, Warsaw, Cole Camp, etc. And then also up towards far northwestern Missouri and far northeastern Kansas. Some heavy rainfall there too. So this is a large but decaying system that we're still dealing with today. Remnants of that could be sparked back up and then turn into those isolated thunderstorms that I've mentioned quite a few times here. Taking a zoom in on the metro now, as we're getting closer and closer to that procession beginning, we can see that rain is beginning to clear from west to east. So that's good news. It's moving out pretty quickly. Still some light rainfall, still some sprinkles out there, but that more moderate rainfall in those flecks of yellow we saw just 10 to 12 minutes ago on the decrease on their way out to the east. One more thing I would really like to show you is how our flood watch has been able to expire. Previously this morning, areas north of I-70 were pulled out of this right around that 4 o'clock hour. The rest of us along and south of I-70 were still held in a greenish teal color on this map. That indicated that flood watch that was set to expire at 10 a.m. National Weather Service did allow that to expire. So again, flood risk decreasing for the rest of the day, not zero, but definitely decreasing. We're fixing that problem as we navigate the rest of your Monday and the rest of this start to work week and first day of school. As I mentioned, still going to keep that first warned weather day on the board for the rest of today, though after that, rain chances really start to drop down. 20% Tuesday, that's how we could still find some isolated thunderstorms. Same thing on your Wednesday. After that, though, we really shut the faucet on those rain chances. We let higher pressure settle into place and then also start to crank up the temperatures 90 degrees by Friday. So today's high, about 10 degrees cooler than that. That's the silver lining with this rain that we're experiencing out there. But no, warming trend is on the way. Going to be gearing up for a hot and humid weekend. Temperatures in the 90s, but feeling like the triple digits. We'll continue to keep you updated through the rest of today on that first warned weather day with that first warned 5 forecast. Stay tuned in with us and we'll bring you updates as soon as we have them.
All right, welcome back to the live desk on this Monday morning, a somber Monday morning as we remember the life of Wyandotte County Deputy Elijah Ming. We're taking a live look right now at Children's Mercy Park, where his funeral is going to be getting underway at around 11 o'clock this morning. Again, Taylor Johnson, Sharon Chen here at the live desk with this morning's coverage before we take things live once the funeral gets started. Sharon.
That's right, Taylor. This morning we are honoring Deputy Elijah Ming, who was shot and killed July 26th. That was a Saturday when they received the 911 call that a woman had needed assistance. She needed help as she was moving out of her home. She said there was a man threatening her with a gun. Well, as the 34-year-old deputy and another KCK police officer approached the home, that's when the suspect, Sean Michael Harris, fired shots at the officers, and Ming was shot and later he died at the hospital. This is just a tragic situation for this department. I mean, in general, losing a brother in arms is difficult as it is, but this is a department that has now suffered 2 fallen officers. So this is, as you can imagine, just a tremendously tragic day for them. They're going to give Officer Ming the final farewell at about 11 o'clock this morning. This is going to happen at Children's Mercy Park, as we just saw in that live shot. The gates open at 9:30 this morning. So a couple of things. If you are headed to the memorial at 11 o'clock this morning, you need to keep in mind that Village West Parkway and France Family Drive, those 2 streets will be closed. Now, the service is expected to last about 2 hours, and it will begin with a 21 gun salute and then a Kansas Highway Patrol flyover. Now, we do have KCTV 5 anchor Zach Summers. He is out there live at Children's Mercy Park where the service will be, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what to be expected from this service too. Zach?
Yeah, Sharon, Taylor, good morning. We'll tell you Village West Parkway is still open at this hour, but, driving in, we saw American flags lining the streets leading up here to Children's Mercy Park. Just behind me, you see gentlemen, they just got here. They are lined up with the flags in hand, and they're right here along Village West Park, just outside the stadium. On the Jumbotron inside, a large picture of Deputy Elijah Ming, along with his end-of-watch date, July 26, 2025, the day he was shot and killed responding to that domestic violence case. I want to step out of frame, show you what's behind me in the distance. That is what will be the start of the procession, which will begin about 30 minutes after the service itself. Now, the stadium, we know, can hold around 20,000 people. However, given the rain that we're experiencing, it's hard to tell how many people will show up to the service, though we have seen mourners in ponchos carrying umbrellas make their way into the stadium, so the rain not deterring folks too much of coming out here to pay their respects. Law enforcement agencies, we've seen them from all over. They are here, not just from Kansas, but also on the Missouri side. I saw patrol cars far east as St. Louis County, so they are here to pay their respects. Children's Mercy Park, again, that service memorial expected to start at 11. Should be about a 90-minute service. And Sharon, I heard you mention the 21 gun salute and that helicopter flyover. Given the conditions, the rain, it has let up a bit. That flyover may or may not happen. And that procession, well, it will start about, again, 30 minutes after the service completes, winding through Kansas City, Kansas, where people can line along the route to also pay their respects. Sharon, Taylor.
A little bit early here, but the service about to begin at about 30 minutes or so. Are you seeing a lot of people show up out there at this time?
Well, it's hard to tell from our vantage point because we're on the opposite end of where mourners are working their way into the stadium. I can't tell you from this vantage point. We have seen mourners. It's just hard to tell how many are working their way inside. I will tell you, though, we did get our hands on a copy of the program that mourners will get when they make their way inside. And I'll just reference some notes that I took inside. We are expecting to hear from Wyandotte County Sheriff Daniel Soptic. He will speak. Some of Ming's close friends will speak, and a representative from the family will speak. So it's unknown if we'll hear from Ming's father or one of his siblings. The program just says a family representative. I want to go through some of the notes that I took related to Ming's obituary that we are just learning today based on this program. We now know he was born in LA, was considered a miracle baby, having been born prematurely. His family moved here to KCK when he was 2 years old. He graduated from Schlegel High School in 2009, where he's said to have excelled in academics and sports, and he went on to receive his associate's degree from Fort Scott Community College. Now, in the obituary, his family says he had an engaging and caring personality, and that is what led him to choose law enforcement. He served with the sheriff's office for 9 years and was just recently named Employee of the Week. He loved his family. One of his brothers is actually quoted in the obituary. I'll try to get this right. He says, "They argued, they laughed, and they hugged." Just like any family, you fight sometime, but at the end of the day, you love them nonetheless. He leaves behind a wife of 7 years, a 2-year-old son, his father, and a number of siblings. And Taylor and Sharon, if I just might add, adding to this family's grief is the fact that they lost the mother just weeks before Ming was killed. So it's just a sad situation all around.
It is truly tragic. His mother died 11 days, or he died 11 days after his mother died. So truly this family has you just can't imagine what they are going through. Zach, thank you so much. We'll check back with you in just a little bit, but just to tell you a little bit more about Deputy Ming, these are words that, his agency said about him. The Wyandotte County Sheriff said that any agency would be lucky to have Deputy Ming, which just speaks to his character. They said that he had a smile that would light up any room. He was someone with a big heart, and he was nice to everyone. No one was a stranger. He was described as being very down to earth. And if you had to choose one word to describe him, people said that word would be humble. He was always humble. He's a man who was very much loved in the community. After his death, they held a vigil at the Wyandotte County Courthouse, and his police cruiser was it was decorated as a humongous memorial to him. Flowers, pictures, stuffed animals just piled on top of the car. And the community just packed that area in front of the Wyandotte County Courthouse. So, Taylor, as you can imagine, that memorial service today is probably going to be pretty packed.
Yes, for sure. And here's a look now at his deputy vehicle that was covered in flowers, and even just the time since his passing, like you mentioned, so many people have come out to just show their support for him and his family. And, just hearing that he had just lost his mother right beforehand, it's a tragedy all around. But again, just seeing this today and hearing just about how people are already turning out for him this morning before his service even starts, you can already kind of sense the impact that he's had, not only on this community, but also beyond state lines. I actually know someone personally who was related to him.
Wow, it's heartbreaking all around. I want to touch a little bit more upon what Zach said about what his father had said. This was written on social media, and he talked about Elijah Ming being a miracle baby. When he was born, he was basically born 3 months early, premature, and he weighed only 1 pound and 9 ounces when he was born. And his father spoke about this on social media, along with a picture that he posted with him holding little Elijah when he was born. And he said that, he was connected with tubes and monitors. He was so tiny. He remembers him. And then this part, he said, after they gave me and my family this horrible news, which was the shooting, I saw him once again with tubes and monitors attached to him at 6'3" and 200 pounds, but nevertheless, he is still my baby boy. So that just speaks to, this family, what they're going through. He was so well loved. not only, as a police officer in the community, but also as a son, a father, a brother. This family it's going to take, I don't even know if you can recover from this kind of thing to get, closure. But we do want to mention that there is a fund that's been set up for the family of Elijah Ming, and that's been set up through the Public Safety Credit Union. There is a Venmo account link to make it very easy for you to make donations. And also you can go to any branch of the Public Safety Credit Union, and all proceeds, all money raised, collected is going to go directly to his family. And as Zach mentioned, his wife of 7 years and a very small child.
Yes, just so tragic all around. Our thoughts go out to his family, to his colleagues, and just everyone who knew him personally. One thing that Zach also talked about was the procession that would be following. So really quickly, I just want to go through that for you all. The procession itself is open to the public. So let's walk you through. So again, we mentioned that the funeral itself is at Children's Mercy Park. So at the end of the service, what they're going to do is leave from Village West Parkway in that area to head east on State Avenue, then south on I-435 before getting on I-70 east. And once they go down I-70, that is when they are going to head northbound on 7th Street in KCK, and during that point in time, they're going to get back onto State Street, where they are going to drive Deputy Ming past the courthouse there, and then from here is where the family is going to go and lay him to rest. In that portion, the burial is closed to the public. But again, his funeral is going to be getting underway in less than 30 minutes here at Children's Mercy Park. Again, that is where we have team coverage. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get to your news headlines of the day, and then we will get right back to our coverage of Deputy Elijah Ming's funeral. Thank you once again for joining us on this Monday morning at the Live Desk. I am Taylor Johnson, joined by Sharon Chen.
Hello.
So as we continue our coverage of Deputy Elijah Ming's funeral, we do want to get to some news headlines of the day. So another big headline that we have this week is that today is back to school for the Shawnee Mission School District, and our Nathan Brennan joins us with coverage from Tomahawk Elementary School.
Hello and good morning to Shawnee Mission parents and students. As you can see, I am right in front of Tomahawk Elementary, which is reopening for the first time in 18 months. If you have students that went to Tomahawk Elementary, if you're near 79th and Lamar, you know that this project has been a long time coming. 18 months. It's in the same spot that the old Tomahawk Elementary was open to. That school was open for over 50 years, so it was definitely time for a rebuild. As you can see, there's actually a line at the door. A lot of these students ready and itching to get inside the building. I was not the same way when I was in elementary school. I was ready for summer to continue. These kids are certainly ready for school to start. So a very happy first day of school to Shawnee Mission parents and students. As a reminder, we will have back to school coverage over the next couple weeks. Kansas, you're heading back to school throughout this week. Missouri, you're next up next week as well. You can head to our streaming platforms. You can also download the KCTV 5 Plus app on your Roku or Apple streaming devices for all of the latest back to school coverage. But before I let you go, once again, happy first day of school. We're gonna have a good one.
Nathan's pretty pumped about that first day of school. The time is now. I mean, summer is over. And to get the kiddos ready, Wyandotte County held its annual back to school fair on Saturday morning. So that at that event, over 1,000 students showed up. Those who did, they got backpacks, pencils, hygiene kits, just to start the school year on the right foot.
We got the little backpacks for the babies to get them. We're serving everybody. This is for everybody. We are not here to just serve one specific group. We're here to serve every single student, every family, all of Wyandotte County.
Love that. Little backpacks to big backpacks. This year's events also offered students free haircuts, free dental and vision checkups, along with sports physicals. Taylor?
All right, and on to a story that is not so positive. A teenage girl was shot and killed by someone outside of her home this weekend while she was inside. Kansas City police tell us the shooting happened Saturday night near East 26th Street and Norton Avenue, west of the VA Medical Center. Inside the home, they found 16-year-old Traylon Sibley unresponsive. She was taken to the hospital where she would later die. Now, Sibley's death does mark the 100th homicide in Kansas City this year. Kansas City has had 100 homicide a year for 33 of the last 40 years. The last time we had less than 100 was back in 2014. That's when KC ended the year with 82 total. This year has seen a rise in also the total of domestic violence homicides from 12 last year to 18 so far this year. And right now, Kansas City is currently on pace to have more homicides than the year before, which had 144 total and was the lowest the city has seen since 2019.
All right, and now we want to take a look at your politics. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe is sharing what he thinks about the possibility of redistricting in the Show Me state. Missouri's current and congressional districts were drawn up about 3 years ago, and they typically wouldn't get a change until about 2030.
They said
Right now, there are 6 Republican-leaning districts and 2 Democratic-leaning districts, but the possibility of redrawing, well, that could split up Kansas City, which is currently represented by Emmanuel Cleaver. Now, Governor Kehoe says it is about supporting the U.S. House Speaker.
Missouri, great conservative Christian value state, and I think we're always going to try to make sure that we support the Speaker and that we don't have an alternative. Hakeem Jeffries does not match Missouri's values, and we want to make sure Speaker Johnson stays where he's at.
And there is currently no timeline for when redistricting would take place.
All right, so back in February of 2024, you might remember this, flames engulfed the historic Warwick Theater. This is video from that time. The fire wiped out several vintage items that can never be replaced. But let's fast forward to now. We're just over a year and a half later. The theater is welcoming its next era. The theater's executive director, Karen Paisley, says it's been a long and expensive journey, but later this month, performances will return. The Warwick Theater was built in 1912, first opening as a movie theater. It's evolved since then, now designed for live performances, and Paisley says that guests will see several updates from floor to ceiling, but you'll still be able to feel the rich history.
We've gone from renovations that occurred in the 1970s and 80s, the last time there was a renovation here, to now, which means I hope that the Warwick will be here for another 100 years. And that'll be pretty awesome.
We hope the same as well. So again, the first show back is this Thursday, and then performances will ramp up starting next month.
All right, now to a new chapter of the bus service here in Kansas City. This is the story that she just keeps on giving. Time is running out for the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, or KCATA, to strike a deal about the city's bus service. Now, you know that this is a story that KCTV5 has covered extensively. Well, no decision has been made about a new contract, but if a deal is not reached by Friday, the city's bus service could be forced to halt service in the coming weeks. The Kansas City City Council is meeting on Thursday to discuss the ordinance for the contract, and this is going to be ahead of the Transportation Board meeting that is expected to happen Friday morning.
All right, and with that being said, we are going to take another break, and when we come back, we are going to go back out to our teams live in the field. Our Morgan Rindell is going to have a report from us from Wyandotte County Deputy Elijah Ming's funeral. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Taylor Johnson, Sharon Chen here at the live desk this morning as we bring you team coverage of the funeral of Wyandotte County Deputy Elijah Ming, who was killed last month in the line of duty. This morning, we have just been hearing so much about what his family has had to say about him, and also hearing about the outpouring of support that he's been receiving from the community.
And his service is about to begin here in just about 15 minutes. We have live team coverage for you this morning of the service and the procession that will get underway shortly following his funeral at Children's Mercy Park. Right now, I believe we want to go to our Morgan Rydell. Morgan?
Yeah, good morning, guys. We've been here on site at Children's Mercy Park since about 4:30 this morning, and we've seen just preparations underway since that time. Law enforcement officers arriving and starting to get set up, and community members, we're seeing them starting to arrive. Very somber, but community members and shows of support are something that we're seeing a lot of here. You can see this line of community members here holding their flags, and then on the other side of the street there's flags lining this drive here. This is Village West Parkway, and it has gotten really busy as people are arriving for the funeral service, because that's just 15 minutes away here. And so that funeral service, it's a lot about honoring Deputy Ming. This tragic incident happened 2.5 weeks ago. All that community support is showing their love for the deputy. Love is a big thing that we're hearing about today between family and friends here, but also just that honoring Deputy Ming's sacrifice that was made. We're going to see a 21 gun salute and possibly that helicopter flyover, just kind of send him off, with the best that they can here. And Wyandotte County Sheriff, he kind of talked a little bit about the 9-year veteran that Deputy Ming was, and just how important he was for the department, not only for the Sheriff's Department, but KCK Police Department. He was responding that day with a KCK officer. So I just want you to take a listen to this soundbite that we have from not only those community members, but officers that worked alongside Deputy Ming.
Duty, honor, service, and sacrifice. That's what he signed up for. And many of you know that if any interaction with him, he served honorably.
I think it was great because, we had a tragic week, and the community was there for us so that, we ended the week with a little bit of joy. And I really want to thank the community for coming out and really showing us that support.
Again, we're just 15 minutes away from all of this getting underway, about honoring and remembering the deputy. That 21 gun salute, that helicopter flyover, and then after all of that wraps up, it's going to be an hour and a half long. After all that, a procession then is going to go from here through the heart of Kansas City and return back up to this area of the Legends. And that is going to be before Deputy Ming's family is able to lay him to rest. That's going to be in a private ceremony, a burial with just them. Sharon, Taylor.
Thank you so much, Morgan. And just a few things to mention that Morgan had talked about, honoring and remembering Deputy Ming today. You might notice all around the Kansas City, Kansas communities that there may be blue ribbons tied along the procession and other parts of the area, because people who live in the area are encouraged to tie blue ribbons in honor of Deputy Ming. Also, this too, you might notice that flags will be flown half-staff today across the state. This is, of course, something that Governor Laura Kelly has directed so that Ming will be honored as he's laid to rest. So today, from sunup to sundown, all flags will be flying half-staff at state buildings, grounds, and facilities. Governor Laura Kelly saying the death of a law enforcement officer is always a tragedy, and Deputy Ming was taken far too soon. He made the ultimate sacrifice in service to his community, and he will not be forgotten. My sincere condolences go out to Deputy Ming's loved ones during this difficult time. We just have to say that from everything that we've been hearing, Deputy Ming was so well loved in this community. His own department, Wyandotte County Sheriff Daniel Soptic, saying that Any agency would be lucky to have him. That just shows how valuable he was to this department. They said that he had a smile that would light up any room. In fact, the sheriff himself saying that on days when he was not in a great mood, he would come into work and he would see Deputy Ming, and automatically his mood will change. He was described as someone with a big heart, kind, nice to everyone. No one was a stranger. He was very down to earth, genuine through and through. And people were asked if they had one word to describe him, it would have been humble. Always, always humble. His department says that the response from the community following his death has been nonstop, described as almost overwhelming, but in a good way. Now, this has been very, very tough on this department, who has had 2 deaths, 2 fallen officers that also happened in 2018. So, as you can imagine, this is a very, very tough time for the community. So, again, the service this morning for Deputy Ming set to begin here in just about 9 minutes. It's going to be out at Children's Mercy Park at the Legends. It is expected to last about 90 minutes, maybe 2 hours even, and then following that, there will be a procession, which is expected to last an hour, going through the streets of KCK, which, Taylor, maybe you can just kind of mention that procession real quick.
Yes, so that procession, again, it is going to leave from France Family Drive, so that is where Children's Mercy Park is, and then from there, the procession is going to get onto I-435 to then take I-70 eastbound, where they're going to get off at North 7th Street in KCK and then head west onto State Avenue, passing the courthouse downtown, just so that his final respects can be paid there. And then the family is going to take part in a private burial service, which is closed to the public. So before we prepare to wrap things up, for now, we're going to go out to Gianni Navarro. She joins us live as well with team coverage. Gianni, how are things looking where you are right now?
Taylor, Sharon, good morning to you. Today is definitely a very somber day. I'm outside Children's Mercy Park. I want to give you a visual here. Just take a look at these line of police vehicles just parked outside Children's Mercy Park to honor the life and sacrifice of Deputy Ming. You could just tell how many law enforcement deputies and sheriffs are here to do exactly that. Now, before people were kind of shuffling into the funeral services, I was able to speak to a few people. One person told me that his brother served on the KCK Police Department, so he wanted to be here to honor Deputy Ming because of that brotherhood that they share. I also spoke to someone else who told me that he actually played baseball with Deputy Ming when they were in high school. He said he hadn't spoken to him in a while, but he felt like he needed to come here today to kind of pay his respects and condolences to Deputy Ming and his family. Again, like I said, guys, the feeling here very somber. A lot of people shuffling in, very quiet, heading in to pay their respects to Deputy Ming.
Yeah, Gianni, I mean, that is one of the things, you know, when you have a funeral for a fallen officer, you can just see, you know, you talk about the term brothers in arms, and truly that's not just for the department that they work in, it is for all of law enforcement. And so when we have a funeral service like what we're seeing today, we're going to see, you know, law enforcement from all over coming. I believe Zach said that he saw one from as far away as St. Louis.
Yeah, Sharon, I actually spoke to another gentleman, too, who didn't even serve on the police force. I believe he was in the military, and he said that he just had to come here and support Deputy Ming. Because, again, even though he didn't serve on the Sheriff's Department or KCK Police Department, again, they share such a close brotherhood. They say they kind of go through the same things, the same trainings. They kind of feel for each other, and they know exactly what each other go through. So he said he just had to be here today. Luckily, he got the day off, he said. So on his day off, he said he had to be here, Sharon.
And that just shows the impact. I mean, people who didn't even know Deputy Ming,
Absolutely.
people who, you know, may not have even experienced what he had experienced as an officer, just being out there to show their support. That really speaks volumes.
It truly does. And this is, you know, the death of a fallen officer that has hit the community hard. I mean, you talk about, you know, people responding from all walks of life. Even if you just look on social media, the comments about the death of Deputy Ming. Here's one from somebody who wrote, "No, that can't be. That's my guy. He's such a good young man with a promising future." Another person wrote, "What a beautiful life. I wish that there could be a do-over to undo this. I'm so sad for his family." So many people out there just thanking him for his service and his protection of the community. And again, we talked about, the vigil that was held for Deputy Ming. Gianni, I mean, I'm sure you're going to see so much of this love today.
Yes, we thank you so much for your report, Gianni.
Oh, most definitely. Of course.
Okay, thank you so much, Gianni. And
All right, so we are going to continue our coverage. I know you were reading some of those quotes, Sharon. It just runs so deep.
It truly does. It truly does. And I mean, we have heard from, everyone from the leaders in Wyandotte County and even KCPD. Of course, they're going to respond. This is like one of their sister law enforcement, departments, saying our hearts go out to Deputy Ming, his loved ones, and Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. Ming was killed in the line of duty Saturday, July 26th, trying to serve and protect others. We ache for Ming and those closest to him and send our condolences, which, that word right there, ache, is what many, many people will be feeling today as they say a final farewell to this well-loved deputy who served the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Department.
And just a tragic time. I just want to give you all a live look one more time here at Children's Mercy Park. This is where Deputy Ming's funeral is set to get underway in just minutes, and we are going to bring you coverage on air and also here on our streaming KCTV 5+. Carolina Cruz and Bill Hurlbrink, they are going to be carrying the funeral this morning. We also have our live reports as well, and we'll also be following the procession as it happens once his service is complete. So again, we just thank you all for tuning in here to KCTV 5+ as we prepare to say goodbye to Wyandotte County Deputy Elijah Ming. Again, you can stick with us throughout the day as we continue to bring you coverage just on his life, his legacy, his impact on this somber Monday that we are seeing. Once again, thank you again for joining us. We're going to take a quick break and then our coverage will continue.